big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Oh, sorry, that's for a Democrat show.
Let me know when you're ready.
Was an extremely great conservative commentator. We're tearing it up on Wednesday night. This is awesome. This
will allow me to retort.
Well, this is Jersey Joe for the Reaver of Common Sense show. I'm on shrmedia.com.
Actually, I just totally screwed up. This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome to the Reaver of Common Sense. I'm your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm trying to make sense out of the senseless. The Jersey Takeover's here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Damn it, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, I was doing so good. So good. All right, that's the way the show's going to go, I think. It's going to be one of those shows. All right. If you want to watch a broadcast, it's very easy. Go to shrmedia.com, click on the listen, watch live button, and join the conversation. All right. I believe it's going to be a really weird night. I really do. We got guys from SHR. They're out at Freedom Fest. They're setting up. I think BZ's show will be tonight. Should be, as far as I know. Haven't heard any different. And he should be broadcasting live from Las Vegas. Oh, boy. We're going to start with Al Gore slams Trump. Climate crisis by far the most serious challenge we face. Former Vice President Al Gore, Mr. Potato, I invented the internet. Mr. New York will be underwater. Antarctic will lose all of its ice. Al Gore attacked President Donald Trump, accusing him of tearing down America's standing in the world by withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord. The climate crisis is by far the most serious challenge we face, Gore said. Not ISIS, not this standstill in our government, not cancer. Made up a hysteria of climate crisis. No ice melting, no rising seas, no rising temperatures, just a lot of bullshit from politicians. But yeah, I see it where it's the most serious challenge we face. Dumbass. We've never had a president who deliberately made decisions, the effort of which is to tear down America's standing in the world, starting with his withdrawal from the Paris Agreement. Hey, Gore, did you ever hear of a president called Obama who, in his inaugural speech, talked about tearing America down and leading from behind? They seem to forget and think that there's no such thing called tape. There was a president for 8 years who deliberately made decisions that tore America down in the standing of the world. Starting with the signing of the Paris Agreement. Well, not starting, but that's just one of the many fuck-ups that man did. Oh, drives me up a wall. Drives me up a wall, these idiots do. Always doom and gloom and everything's the worst. And nothing ever happens. Gore got himself in hot water with black activists last week when he compared the fight against global warming to the emancipation of black slaves. The fight against global warming is one of humanity's great moral cause, Gore told participants in the Eco City World Summit in Melbourne Thursday, alongside the abolition of slavery, women's suffrage, women's rights, the civil rights movement, and the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. An online statement, black activists with the Project 21 Leadership Network blasted Gore for the comparison, saying that he gives climate change activists unearned moral credibility by associating these important moral movements of history with a crusade grounded in questionable data. It's kind of funny that he would announce the end of slavery, women's suffrage, women's rights, civil rights movement, all Republican fault movements. It was all that Democrats, that Al Gore is, stood for. Anybody find that funny? How they always try to push that on to Republicans when they're the ones that ended it, that fought against Democrats to end it. Project 21 co-chairman Horace Cooper said that Gore's climate alarmism stands to hurt black Americans most of all. Study after study demonstrate that a radical climate policy advocated by Al Gore Jr. will hurt blacks and the poor the most, Cooper said. Just as segregation and interracial marriage bans were purported to be for the good of all while clearly done to generate political support, today's climate alarmist is pushed solely to get the support of a small group of so-called eco-warriors at the expense of blacks. Gore's elevation of global warming to the most serious challenge we face above international terrorism, job security, healthcare reform, immigration, or abortion does not ring true to most Americans, according to recent Bloomberg polls.
Big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
It's amazing. I'm trying to figure out what they're trying to divert attention off of as they try to push this bullcrap again. And global warming has been dying out again. And it was dying out way before Trump got elected. The popularity amongst it started waning. People started seeing the facts they started realizing that it was a bunch of political bullshit. During his meeting with the G7 nation in Terra Marina, Sicily last May, President Trump shifted discussions away from climate change to what he declared to be the most critical issue facing the world, namely Islamic terrorism. Asked, which of the following do you see as the most important issues facing the country right now? Only 10% of U.S. citizens thought that climate change was the most pressing, while the other 90% identified other concerns, such as what I had mentioned a moment ago. Healthcare, terrorism, immigration, jobs, taxes, that type of stuff. So just days before the president's European address, 55 world leaders from Arab and other Muslim-majority nations in Saudi Arabia. In that speech, Trump called for unity and pursuing the one goal that transcends every other consideration. That goal is to meet history's great test, to conquer extremism and vanquish the forces of terrorism. Back in the United States, President Trump gave a speech in the Rose Garden after deciding to withdraw the United States from the Paris Climate Accord. The climate accord, Trump stated, is simply the largest example of Washington entering into an agreement that disadvantages the United States to the exclusive benefits of other countries. The agreement would have left American workers and taxpayers to absorb the costs in terms of lost jobs, lower wages, shuttered factories, and vastly diminished economical production. Hello, Jenny 86753. I take it 09. My edge is cut off. Let's see. Yes, Jenny 8675309. All right. How you doing? Thus, as of today, the United States will cease all implementations of the non-binding Paris Accord and the draconian financial and economic burdens the agreement imposes on our country. So long, farewell. I'm tired of this global warming, and I'm not trying to justify my thinking, but I'm going to say it again. Do we need to be cautious in what we do? Yes. Should we be careful on pollution, our garbage? Yes. And conservatives know that the most. Conservatives take care of the wildlife. Have you ever seen any of these Democrat marches for global warming, economy, and take a look at what they leave behind? It's an absolute mess. Thank you, Jenny. It's amazing. So I'm glad to see that global warming is going the way of the dodo bird. Majority of the scientists don't believe it's man-made. That was a falsehood claimed by President Barack Hussein Obama. Now, I'm not a huge Charlie Daniels fan, but he's been making some great comments into the fray of politics of late. In the wake of another failure by Congress to get a key piece of legislative passed this week, musician Charlie Daniels has a solution to help alleviate government dysfunction. Throw them all out. I think what we have is there's a bunch of establishment Republicans that do not like Trump, and they are joining ranks with Democrats just to oppose, just to obstruct and delay Trump's agenda. And we're seeing it time and time again. I forget which senator. I think I can't remember the name. She voted to repeal back in 2015. Now, all of a sudden, Trump's pushing it. Oh, no, I'm not voting to repeal. There's just some that are in bed with Democrats, and they think that's the only way they're going to survive is to kiss the Democrats' ass. Then become a Democrat. Leave the party. Go join the Democrat Party. But right now, what we need to do is, if our politicians are not going to do their job, vote them out. Get them the hell out immediately. Well, in 2018, I'm talking. Primary their ass. Put in Republicans that are willing to do the will of the people, not the will of the establishment. From the top down, I don't care who they are. If they're not doing what needs to be done, send them packing. In a series of tweets this week, the 80-year-old devil went down to Georgia musician blasted Congress after the Senate's failure to advance the Republican-led repeal of the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare. Daniels specifically called out the Senate, which he termed a kindergarten class. He sent out a tweet stating, okay, the Congress and Senate we have can't work together and have proven it. Solution, replace them all until we find people who can. And his next one, he put, the Senate is not a political body. It is a kindergarten class. And in another message, the country music star said he wondered what American politics would look like without political parties. Then politicians could serve the people instead of the party. This is hardly the first time Daniels has ripped Congress for ineffectiveness. In August 2015, the musician penned an open letter in which he unloaded on the sold-out, jaded, burned-out political hacks.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge. From worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's 2025, a new year, and the perfect time to turn your business dreams into reality. Maybe you've been tossing around a great idea, but haven't acted yet. Well, Shopify is how you're going to make it happen. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and make your first sale. With thousands of customizable templates, you don't need coding or design skills. Just drag, drop, and go. Plus, Shopify's social media tools help you connect all your channels and create shoppable posts so you can sell everywhere your customers scroll. Managing your business is easy too. From shipping to taxes to payments, Shopify handles the details on a single dashboard, letting you focus on what really matters: growing your business. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it.
The courageous politicians that once championed this nation have been replaced for the most part by a breed of milksop, politically correct, scared of their own shadow, pushover, pathetic excuse for public servants who are supposed to be representing a constituency of citizens who have to live with the circumstances of their timid folly. That is dead on, and I agree with Charlie Daniel on that statement. Daniel has also not been shy to propose his own policy solutions to some of the country's most vexing problems. In March, after a number of liberal city leaders proposed ignoring federal laws to establish sanctuary cities for illegal immigrants, Daniel suggested that red states, pro-life cities, should ignore federal abortion laws and become sanctuary cities for unborn children. Daniels is set to release a book of memoirs, Never Look at an Empty Seat, on October 24th. I wonder how Democrats would react if all of a sudden red states ignore federal law and ignored federal abortion laws, to be exact, and declared themselves sanctuary cities for unborn children. They would freak the fuck out. They would lose their shit. But it would save more than just one child. Remember, Democrats, if it saves just one child, you will do anything. What a load of shit that was. Now, I found this. going to play it, and probably going to be going to break right after. But something about this I liked from Paul Harvey. If I Were the Devil. Okay.
If I were the devil. If I were the devil. If I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. Thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
You're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, and we will be right back.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
You have been listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Politicians.
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cow for the stupid program.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Mutt Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the Reaver of Common Sense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date with everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I'm your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm making sense out of the senseless. The Jersey Takeover's here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to watch a broadcast, go to shrmedia.com. Click on the live watch button. Oh my lord, it's going to be a really weird show. I mean, and that if I Were the Devil by Paul Harvey, that seems like straight out of Democrat playbook and everything they do anymore. It's friggin' ridiculous. I don't understand. I applaud. There's one Democrat, he retired because he said his Christian values just was not lining up with the party anymore. He was watching the attack, and he couldn't deal with it anymore. He couldn't justify it. Oh, man, it's a weird time we're in, and it just keeps getting weirder and weirder, it seems. Saying you're looking at the video real quick, and certain times my green screen program is pixelating my black shirt and part of my microphone stand. It's kind of funny. I don't know. It's a messed up time we live in, and the Democrats aren't letting up. They just... They're full throttle, hell-bent on destruction. And this was done in a poll by Washington Post and ABC. They buried this part of it. And they even twisted the poll with a majority of Democrats. Over half of Americans believe that the Democrat Party does not stand for anything except opposing President Donald Trump. The poll asks a random sample of 1,001 Americans. Do you think the Democrat Party stands for something or just stands against Trump? 52% of the respondents said they believe the party stands for nothing except opposing Trump, while 37% said they believed it stood for something more. I like to know what they stood for. Maybe they stand for morally corrupt. The survey conducted July 10th through 13th was weighed in favor of Democrats, with a 35% of respondents identifying themselves as Democrats, while just 23% identified as Republican, with a 12% difference. A further 35% identified as independent that leaned Democratic. Since Donald Trump's inauguration in January, Democrats have coined themselves as a member of the resistance against his policy agenda, but special election results suggest the party's resistance message has failed to cut through with voters. Well, that resistance, I think, is a little bit different, and I think the resistance is meaning something totally different. I'm trying to get a sound clip for this. This sounds more like what they are talking about. Give it a second.
We are Borg.
We are Democrats.
You will be assimilated.
I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile. Your life, as it has been, is over. From this time forward, you will service
the Democrat Party.
You will be assimilated.
Resistance is futile.
We are the Borg. Lower your shield and surrender your ships.
We are the Democrat Party.
Biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
Resistance is futile. Join the Democrat Party immediately. That's what it reminds me of when they start screaming resistance. I'm waiting for him to go, resistance is futile. You cannot resist us. You will be assimilated. You will become one with the Democrat Party. You will think like us. You will talk like us. You will not have your own thoughts. You will think what we think. You will say what we say. I am Locutus Chuck Schumacher. Schumer. Oh, God. Well, that's exactly how they're acting. And attacking and attacking and attacking. And it even makes me funny because the Democrat Party has gotten behind Antifa, who openly admit they're communists and walk around with a Russian sickle. But then the Democrat Party cries about Russian interference. How goddamn stupid can you be? Remember, in June, the Democrat Party kicked off what it called the Resistance Summer, featuring house parties with DNC Deputy Chairman Keith Ellison. Ooh, look at that. We're cool. We're having house parties. Woohoo. Oh. The best way for Democrats to turn the resistance into electoral win is by doing one thing. Party! No. Organizing, Ellison said in a press release at the time. Resistance Summer is the starting point, and we'll take the Democrat Party's message of fairness and equality to activists on the front line and all Americans looking to get engaged. This is the same message that put Trump in the goddamn White House. This is the same message that pissed off middle America. So what do these idiots do? Let's double down. It makes me want to bang my head. This next one, holy shit. This one really wants me to bang my head. A bill that would reduce drug felonies to misdemeanors for first-time possession of small amounts of heroin, cocaine, methamphetamines, and other hard drugs passed through Oregon State Legislative on Thursday and is likely to be signed into law by Governor Kate Brown. A bunch of us said that this would happen. And what did the Democrats... Oh, no, we're just getting pot. We're just going to make pot legal. They sit here and they fucking cry over opiate addiction. They make it impossible for people that are in pain, that medically need it, to get it. But now what do these dumbass Democrats do? They're trying to make it legal for people to have heroin, cocaine, methamphetamines, and other hard drugs. And it is a step process. You don't go from felonies to legalizing it. You go from felony to misdemeanor, just like they did pot, from felony to misdemeanor to legalizing it. The House Bill 2355, which reduces convictions for first-time possession of such illicit drugs, passed through the state's House of Representatives by a 36-23 on July 4th. The state Senate voted in favor of it by 20-9. The bill's proponent argued that it was the most effective way of addressing a growing drug abuse in the state. So we got a problem with drugs in our state, so let's fucking legalize them. If you got a problem with murder in your state, are you going to fucking legalize murder? And this one, I love how this one loves to compare apples and oranges. And Representative Mitch Greenlick, a Democrat, told the Washington Free Beacon, we've got to treat people not put them in prison. It'd be like putting them in the state penitentiary for having diabetes. This is a chronic brain disorder, and it needs to be treated this way. Now, the state senator, Betsy Johnson, who's a Democrat, denounced the bill as a hug a thug policy. Claiming to the Washington Post, the proponents of these bills mistakenly believe that drug sentences damage people's lives, but it's the drugs that ruin people's lives. I'd like to end the odious practice of racially profiling, but I will not be associated with a bill that decriminalizes hard drugs. Last year, Oregon had the second highest rate of opiate abuse in the country. The epidemic has led to drug overdoses being the leading cause of death for Americans under 50. Much of the law enforcement community also saw the legislation as a sensible approach. Executive Director of the Oregon Associate Chief of Police Kevin Campbell wrote the following in a letter. Too often, individuals with addictions issues find their way to the doorstep of the criminal justice system when they are arrested for possession of a controlled substance. Kevin Campbell, unfortunately, felony convictions in this case also include unattended and collateral consequences, including barriers to housing and employment and desperate impact on minority communities. It seems like the Democrat Party is trying to send this country into pure chaos, pure pandemonium, trying to undermine all the values that we held dearly. I don't want the government telling me every aspect of life. It doesn't mean I don't want the government making laws. These drugs can be very dangerous, often leading to death. And I can't even justify an idea of why they would want to drop these down to a misdemeanor. What about if it's my first time committing a non-violent bank robbery? Can I get a misdemeanor on that? I mean, you don't want to ruin my life over a first-time non-violent robbery. How the Democrat Party now backs drug dealers, terrorists. They've become the criminally insane the Democrat Party has. I just don't understand it. I just don't. You're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio. We will be right back.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
You have been listening to Reaver of Common Sense Hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying Kafka was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Much Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the reaverofcommonsense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date with everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm trying to make sense out of the senseless. I'm just totally dumbfounded. I'm going to play a clip. Now, I'm not going to comment on it. I just want to play it. I found it, and I found it very interesting. It's actually a video that's on Facebook, but I'm just going to play the audio portion. So, let's take a listen. Oh, by the way, this is on the Clintons.
Here at World 5, we are not biased at all. We just love to report the facts. And with more than 12 plane crashes, 13 murders, and 10 suicides, that's a lot of death. But not just any death. Join us as we look at the connection to Bill and Hillary Clinton and their alleged death victims. It all begins with Ron Brown. Now, there's a reason that Ron Brown is first on our list. He was the first African American to become the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, and he also served during the first term of Bill Clinton's presidency. So, how exactly did Ron Brown die? And why are people so suspicious about the circumstances that surround his death? As it turns out, Brown was killed during a plane crash near Dubrovnik in Croatia in 1996, and many people believe that Bill Clinton was involved in his murder. Brown was near indictment and threatened Clinton that he would not go down alone. The day afterwards, Brown's lawyer was murdered in a drive-by shooting. And the day after that, an air traffic controller in charge of the plane during the crash was found dead. Now, Brown may have been shot in the head during the flight, according to X-rays, and the United States claims that there was no black box found on the plane, even though television shows aired teams pulling it out. Sounds rather suspicious, don't you think? Bill Shelton and Kathy Ferguson. We're putting these two together on our list because they were engaged. They were also both connected to Clinton, and both died just 1 month apart. And what was their cause of death? Well, it was ruled as a suicide. But was it really? Let's have a closer look. Kathy Ferguson was a witness during Bill Clinton's sexual assault case that involved Paula Jones. She was found dead in Shelton's apartment with a gunshot wound in her head. At the time, it was ruled a suicide. But why would this woman have several suitcases packed if she wasn't going somewhere? And what about her fiancé, Bill Shelton? Well, a month later, Shelton apparently killed himself at her gravesite. And of course, it just sounds like your typical heartbreak Romeo and Juliet scenario. But he was also killed with a gunshot wound to the head. And the coroner who examined his wound said that it was very similar to Ferguson's. Either this is a complete coincidence, or everyone is becoming really skilled at self-inflicted headshots these days. Moving right along, we find ourselves with the mysterious case of Barbara Wise. Wise's death is by far the most mysterious out of any on our list. The Commerce Department employee apparently worked closely with Ron Brown and another associate. She was also suspected of leaking certain commerce documents which allegedly exposed Chinese espionage, which is, of course, plenty of reasons to get on Clinton's bad side. Someone must have had a really deep hatred for the woman, because she was found dead and locked inside of her own office. She was also bruised from her head down to her waist, and to this date, no one's ever discovered the reason why. Plenty of speculation surrounding the event leads many to think that she was tortured for hours on end before her death. It also leads you to wonder why the Commerce Department apparently doesn't have any security cameras around their building. And following victims who died by headshot, we find Ed Willie. Willie was involved in plenty of Clinton's fundraising events, and his cause of death? You guessed it, suicide, with a perfect shot to the head. But it gets even weirder once we dig into some of the background. In 1993, Willie's wife, Kathleen Willie, had a job-seeking meeting with Clinton as the couple faced plenty of financial difficulties. During this meeting, she claims that the president sexually assaulted her. Little did she know that her husband was already lying dead in the woods, with a suicide note saying that he apologized for the financial situation. Now, was this a mere coincidence, or a quick warning shot? These days, Kathleen is still very anti-Clinton, and has already expressed her desires for Trump to win the upcoming election. And you've probably heard of Stanley Hurd and Steve Dixon, right? Well, if you haven't, Dixon was a counsel to Hurd, and Hurd was a counsel to Clinton's mother, stepfather, and brother. Anything else these two have in common? Well, both of them died in a plane crash. On the exact same plane. And if that's not suspicious enough for you, get this. Their plane took off and had to make an emergency landing as a fire erupted on board. Everyone was able to exit the plane, and then they rented a new plane. And then guess what happened? They discovered a new issue on the new plane and had to return again. On the way back to the airport, the plane just mysteriously crashed, and someone had enough of their playing around. But not all of the victims died by headshot or plane crash. Now we focus on the murder of Seth Rich. a Democratic National Committee staffer who was killed in July of 2016 when the police found his body on the floor and quickly ruled it an attempted robbery. But there's something odd here. All of his personal items, his wallet, and his phone were still in his possession. But what makes Seth Rich so special? And why would he even be a target? Some people suspect that he could have been involved in a large DNC email WikiLeaks scandal and was persuaded by Bernie Sanders. Kind of strange, isn't it? And have you ever heard people say, if I'm ever found dead, it was murder in the movies? Well, film comes to real life in the form of Victor Thorne. Victor Thorne is our next alleged Clinton murder victim. Thorne wrote several books exposing both of the Clintons, and he allegedly killed himself on his birthday. Now, unlike most of the victims, he shot himself on the top of a mountain. Whether or not it was a self-inflicted headshot is unknown, but if it was, you can kind of figure out where the story goes from there. Thorne told the Russell Scott Show host, "Russell, if I'm ever found dead, it was murder. I would never kill myself." Are you sure of that, Mr. Thorne? But these events go way back and include Jerry Parks. Parks was Clinton's head of gubernatorial security in Little Rock, Arkansas. He was shot 7 times at a deserted intersection while driving through Little Rock. Parks' wife and son claim that his death was not a coincidence, and according to them, Parks had plenty of files stating the sexual escapades of Bill Clinton. He was also reportedly hired by Vince Foster on behalf of Hillary Clinton, who was convinced that her husband wasn't faithful. Both Parks and Foster were killed. Now, it makes things even weirder that a reporter claims that the exact files that Parks' wife and son were talking about were stolen from his office just a few weeks before his death. And of course, Parks is connected to our next 2 victims, Kevin Ives and Donald Henry. These 2 teenagers were found dead on some railroad tracks in Arkansas and were killed way before the train ever hit them. Their death was quickly ruled a drug overdose, but several people claim that it was just a cover-up. A witness states that they saw police beating the boys, which could mean that the teens had some involvement in a drug smuggling operation surrounding Bill Clinton. And why do people think that their deaths were not accidental? Autopsies reveal that Kevin died from a crushed skull before he was ever placed on the tracks. And Donald, well, he was stabbed in the back, and not metaphorically. Kevin and Donald are both connected to the death of John Hillier. The NBC cameraman was working on several cases that could easily expose the Clintons, and he was also involved in exposing the Arkansas drug smuggling operation. Hillier and his associates became friends of Gary Parks, the son of Jerry Parks, who we mentioned earlier, and they stayed at the safe house where they could discuss the events and further mysteries behind the Clintons. And if that's not convincing enough for you, each person that Hillier tried to interview regarding the case mysteriously died, and it became enough for Hillier to fear for his life. One day he called up his journalist and stated that he discovered new leads for the case. They planned on meeting, but apparently Hillier died of a heart attack just a few days later. Was it a coincidence? Maybe too much stress to look after his health? We may never know. And the list goes on and on and on, including Vince Foster, Hillary's law partner, who suspiciously died. Of course, believed to be a suicide. But what do you know? Tell us in the comments below. And while you're here, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Whether that's all true or not, I gotta admit, there's a lot of very big questions there. Too much coincidence on everything. I think it's about time that our government actually takes open a file and starts looking into the Clintons. It's scary as hell to think that our government has possibly allowed such action to go on by politicians. We need to, as a people, mandate we take back control of our government. We've been trying to do that. Looking behind, make sure there's no Clintons walking up behind me. We started by electing Trump. That was a big step forward. We got to continue that forward and make sure that we elect the right people into office to continue that fight. And that includes primarying some politicians. If they don't want to put up for a vote term limits, then we can impose it ourselves. They've had too much power for too long. Something needs to be done. The people need to take the power back. And they need to take it back fast before it's too late. We are, and I've been saying it for a while, we're at this crossroads. We're at a crossroads, and we need to do something. You're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio. We will be right back.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
You have been listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying coffee is stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Mud Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the Reaver of Common Sense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date with everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm making sense out of the senseless. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And don't forget, at the top of the hour, our night's just beginning. We will have BZ live from Las Vegas from Freedom Fest. That's right. We'll have BZ, Berserk, Bobcat Saloon, straight from L.A. Or Las Vegas. God, you know what? I can't speak today. That's it. Packing up, going home. Holy shit. Oh, man. It's one of those days. Just one of those days. Hey, I gotta find out where we are. I'm so behind. No, I'm not. Mike Rowe is firing back at claims he's against higher education. And this is the left. You try to have a conversation and you try to disagree with them, they immediately attack you for being against whatever it is you're trying to correct their issue on. He's not against higher education, and Mike Rowe isn't afraid of getting his hands dirty either. The 55-year-old fired back at a fan who said Rowe's placed so little value on academic education. Rowe disputed the claim on Facebook, saying the commenter misunderstood Rowe's stance on higher education. It's hard to believe you could have followed me from the first day of Dirty Jobs and Deadliest Catch and be so completely mistaken about my stance on the importance of college education, Rowe wrote in a lengthy Facebook post Monday night. He went on to explain that while he's unapologetically opposed to the mind-bending, utter and indefensibly skyrocketing cost of tuition, he does not underestimate the importance of education. Rowe, who said his college degree has served him well, added he strongly supports education in all of its form. He added he just opposes pushing a 4-year college degree on everyone. What I've opposed consistently is not the importance of higher education, but rather a relentless drumbeat of college for everyone, he explained, because the cookie-cutter approach to education supposes that all worthwhile knowledge can only be attained from college or a university. That's the most dangerous myth of all. He suggested pushing 4-year college on high school students has led schools to stop offering shop class and vocational skills and left 6 million vacant jobs that no one is trained to do. That's the skill gap. It's real, and it's a massive problem for anyone who shares my addiction to smooth roads, cool air, and indoor plumbing, he wrote. He concluded, I continue to challenge the idea that college is the only place to get a worthwhile education. College has its place, but also college does not make you smart. A piece of paper does not make you smart. Passing a test does not make you smart. And they keep putting this undue weight on that. This idea that without it, you are nothing. You can make just as much money, if not more money, without a degree by going into the trade skills. Certain welders make ungodly money. There's hundreds and hundreds of other trade skills that you can go into. There's computers. I mean, the problem is colleges are making up degrees now to expand college degrees. When I started EMS, there was no such thing as a college degree in EMS. Now, they have come up with a college degree to justify colleges offering some kind of degree for emergency medical technicians and paramedics and firefighters, just to justify another pompous ass to stand up and lecture. I got more on the road training and knowledge than I ever would have gotten from classroom time. College is not for everybody. Never has been. Never should be. It has its place, just as everything has its place. Doesn't mean it's for everybody. And I've had this disagreement with my father-in-law the first day I met him. Where'd you go to college? Didn't go to college, sir. No, everybody has to go to college. No, they don't. Yes, they do. No, they don't. I mean, I've hit some snags along my life, but college degree was not going to help the snags I hit. Because what got me in trouble was some college-educated little prick that was doing what his college professors told him to do with business. So that put me in a bad position. Now, this is one of the reasons why I will never have one of those Google or Amazon little contraptions, Alexia. It records everything you say. Now, according to the information, Amazon is considering open up access to private transcript data from its Alexia device to third-party developers, raising concern of privacy for users. Amazon's ecosystem was one of the first mass-marketed home assistants available, giving a head start over the Googles such as Google Home. However, while Amazon currently does not allow developers access to everything users say, Google Home does. With Apple moving into the market as well, Amazon cannot afford to lose the lead it gained early on. At the moment, developers making apps that will use Alexia are only permitted to see non-identifying information such as location data, how users talk to the device, and how many times a specific skill is used. If full transcripts were visible to developers, the greater amount of data could be put to use in order to improve and fine-tune their applications. Skill developer, an ex-product head for Alexia team, said that the current access only gives developers 70% of what they need to know. No, that's more than enough. I would not want those. Now, I don't have nothing to hide, but what I talk about in my house is what I talk about. I do not need anybody reading that. They don't need to read what is said in my house. That's why you'll never see one of those devices in my house. I mean, if Amazon were to go ahead with handing over full transcripts, it would certainly cause unease with users aware of the potential breach of privacy. Not only could developers see exactly what they have been saying or searching for, but anyone malevolent enough to hack their system could do as well. Last year, then Director of National Intelligence James Clapper warned that not only would such developments pose challenges to our cyber defense and operational tradecraft, but also created a new opportunity for our own intelligent collectors. Amazon's previous actions don't seem to bode well for those worried about their privacy. In April, Amazon's newly launched Echo Look contained a style check feature that it would let strangers judge your outfit by uploading photos of them to the internet, causing some to remark on the creepiness of such an application. We're definitely getting to the point of a government being able to hear, see everything we do inside and outside our house. There's going to be a point soon. There's going to be no privacy. Everything's going to be open to the public. I think there were some books written about that where everybody was watching. It's scary as hell. Key word tonight. Drinking word tonight. Scary. I know, I've been using that a lot. The world gets worse and worse every day. Between our government and the technology advancing. And these are a lot of things people talked about a while ago, and it was, never have that problem, never have that problem. Well, we have that problem. Don't forget, in about 45 minutes, top of the hour, we'll have BZ coming to you from Las Vegas. Where the heck are they broadcasting from again? I have the memory like a leaky sieve. Memory like a strainer. They're at Freedom Fest, which is Paris Resort, Las Vegas. They're in. It gets started actually tomorrow, but they're all there. And BZ will be coming with... I can't talk tonight. BZ, Berserk, Bobcat, Saloon. Top of the hour. So stay tuned after the Reaver of Common Sense and take a listen and here's how things are going out there. All right, where are we next? Some of these names people have, holy shit, boy. I mean, it's wow. Oh, copy. Give me 1 second. Technical difficulty on my end. All of a sudden, the computer's really lagging really bad. I know there's been storms in the area, but... see something else real quick. All right, let's get on with it. I also pulled up the other wife so I could figure. CNN smirching nights. It's a fair point. U.S. does not entirely have clean hands on influencing election. Monday on CNN's New Day, network weekend host Michael Smernites acknowledged that despite complaints from Americans decrying Russian alleged meddling in the 2016 presidential election, the United States doesn't have clean hands when it comes to the same sort of behavior. I'm just going to call him Michael. I'm not going to go by his last name. Michael referenced a guest that appeared on his program Saturday, pointing out the United States has attempted to influence other countries' election on 61 different occasions since World War II. Oh, boy. All right. Something that totally caught my attention away. I'm like a little kid with the, keys. You dangle them the right way, you'll catch my attention. And something over here did. Damn it. I happen to have a guest on my schedule, or on my program Saturday, an economic named Dove Levin. Michael said he's from Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, who documented on 61 occasions in 80 different nations from the post-World War II era through 2000, we have been involved, not in computer hacking, but in trying to determine the outcome of election. Now, is there a moral equivalent between us supporting pro-democracy forces when the opposition was communism? I mean, that's a subject to debate. I think it's a fair point that we don't entirely have clean hands. And it's... what gets me is, for like 75 years now, Russia has been doing the same thing every goddamn election. And now, all of a sudden, now there's an issue. Hillary Clinton loses, and the left loses their shit. They lose it. Nothing different happened than any other election, and now they want to make an issue of it. Why? Because there was so much coordination between the DNC, the media, and Hillary Clinton that they have to distract from talking about it. They have to distract talking about why the 90% winner, Hillary Clinton, lost. Why she did not campaign. Why she did not do interviews. Why the Democratic Party allowed this. So, it's... The Russian thing is tiresome. Even the left is getting tired. And you're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio. We will be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying cop for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Mutt Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the reaverofcommonsense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date with everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense.
listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm trying to make sense out of the senseless. New York Times, critical speech is literally violence. And they published an op-ed arguing that words can have detrimental physical effects on people. The op-ed, written by Lisa Feldman Barrett, a professor of psychology at Northeastern University, asks, why is speech violence? Barrett argues that negative words and thoughts merely by being said can be countered as an act of physical violence due to the reaction that they may cause within an individual. Notice it's okay when... Hold on. There we go. It's okay when the left are critical or negative, but this only applies to the right. Now, she goes on, imagine that a bully threatens to punch you in the face. A week later, he walks up to you and breaks your nose with his fist. Which is more harmful, the punch or the threat, she asks. The answer might seem obvious. Physical violence is physically damaging. Verbal statements aren't. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But scientifically speaking, it's not that simple. Words can have a powerful effect on your nervous system. Certain types of adversity, even those involving no physical contact, can make you sick, alter your brain, even kill neurons and shorten your life. But it's okay when Antifa threatens physical violence, when liberals call for assassinations. That's okay. Those are just words then. But when we point out shortcomings and outright lies, that's hate speech. That has long-lasting effects. If this were actually true, we would not be able to correct anybody on any bad behavior. The article further goes on to claim if words can cause stress, and if prolonged stress can cause physical harm, then it seems that speech, at least certain types of speech, can be forms of violence. But which types? This would seem to allow any negative comment or comments that may be considered inflammatory to be classified as violent. The author does, however, contend that some forms of stress relating to ideas that one may find repugnant can be a healthy growing experience, citing a debate exercise where she asked students to argue for and against eugenics, a task that the students steadfastly refused to take part in. The author contends when you're forced to engage a position you strongly disagree with, you learn something about the other perspective as well as your own. The process feels unpleasant, but it's a good kind of stress, temporary and not harmful to your body, and you reap a long-time benefit of learning. However, it seems that engaging with ideas you may disagree with will only falls into a certain category of acceptable wrong thinking. As a few short paragraphs later, Barrett writes, a culture of consistent casual brutality is toxic to the body, and we suffer for it. That's why it's reasonable, scientific speaking, not to allow a provocateur, a hate monger like Milo, to speak at your school. He is part of something noxious, a campaign of abuse. There is nothing to be gained from debating him, for debate is not what he is offering, despite the fact that former Breitbart senior editor Milo has taken part in numerous debates and appeared on many panels to discuss his ideas. Barrett believes that when it comes to Milo, debate is not what he is offering. The article finished by once again stating that harsh words are literally violence and should be avoided. By all means, we should have open conversations and vigorous debate about controversial and offensive topics, but we must also halt speech that bullies and torments from the perspective of our brain cells. The latter is literally a form of violence. her little thesis there just killed my brain cells. So she must never utter a sentence again, as it is a murderous weapon killing brain cells. And how much pot do you have to smoke to come up with something like that? How much drugs do you have to put in your system to come up with an idiotic idea like that? Now, naturally, Twitter users, well, they began to ridicule the New York Times. This is a new low and neuro shit. My politics because proteins and telomeres, bad things, science. It just... So the New York Times thinks speech is a form of violence, and they wondered why people call them fake news and snowflakes. Poor New York Times pays for when is speech violence to be trending, and then complains that no one wants to read their propaganda. And then they're the first ones that scream about free speech. Remember that. The paper will be the first one to scream about free speech if their speech is limited, but they want to limit other people's speech. That's the amazing part. They want this free speech, but they don't give anybody it. They don't. Oh my God. And someone else just put, when is speech violence? It's never violent, you fools. Stop trying to censor freedom of speech. Stop trying to quell differing opinions. And that's what it is. They can't fight with facts. They can't fight with reason. So they try to silence. It's the only thing they can do. The continuous assault of the New York Times on our constitutional right to free speech is a threat to democracy. It just... My head's aching from it. Speech is not violence. Speech can lead to violence. Yes, but speech is not violence. When the left does it, it's not violent. When the right does it, it's violent and must be squashed immediately. And that's what they're saying. And I go back to what I just said, and I've been saying for a while. They can't fight with facts and reason, so they have to try to silence. That's what PC speech was about. That's what political correctness was about. Silencing. Specifically, trying to stop you from talking, period. They didn't want to hear from you. So they'd claim you were saying things that were politically incorrect. And it worked for a while. Just like calling you a racist, a xenophobe, and all the other isms and phobias. It worked for a while. People called on to their bullshit. Now, a flash mob of an estimated 500 teens threw bottles, jumped on cars, and taunted police officers in Philadelphia Sunday night, police say. But that, I'm pretty sure, the left, they're just protesting. They were doing their constitutional right to protest. Pretty amazing. In fact, that just made me searching through some stuff real quick. Trying to figure out why there's so many listening. Must be a fire out there. Police told CBS Philadelphia that a large crowd, mostly made up of children between the age of 12 and 17, appeared in the street and on the sidewalk outside of Lonnie Young's Recreational Center in Germantown around 6 p.m. Sunday. Cops say the teens hurled glass bottles at them, jumped on their cars, and taunted the police officers. But the left says that's not violence. Police commanders decided not to arrest any of the teens for fear the situation would escalate. So they rewarded these teens for rioting by not doing a damn thing. Liberalism gone amok. There's no reported injuries to police, no reported arrests, and there's no reported injuries to civilians at this time. Captain Drew Techner with Philadelphia Police said, "We closed the Lonnie Young Recreational Center for the night. After all of this, we are concerned all the juveniles may regather in the same location that they started out. We, for their own safeties, want them home." The crowd dispersed finally around 11 p.m. and did not reassemble. The Associated Press reports that none of the teens nor officers were injured, although police did ask stores in the area to close when the teens started to pour into the shops. The captain added that parents should keep an eye on their kids and enforce a curfew. Parents have been aware of what their kids are doing, who they are with, and what they are getting involved in. They need to be home at a decent hour. Other flash mobs of teens have taken place throughout Philadelphia. In March, a flash mob of more than 100 teenagers broke out into fights and ran out in and out of traffic. The police arrested more than 30 teens, 20 of them for disorderly conduct, and a few on more serious charges. So, let them assault police officers, attempt to destroy property, and reward them by letting them go free. Liberalism at its finest. What can you really say? What can you really say? I mean, when you have a police force that's afraid of enforcing the laws, that's when you know things have just turned crazy. That's when you know this world has turned upside down. It's just amazing. And when one of those kids get hurt from one of these protests, the parents are going to scream and go after the police. I don't know. You're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio. We will be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
You have been listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying cop for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Mud Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the Reaver of Common Sense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date with everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I'm your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm trying to make sense out of the senseless. Don't forget, top of the hour, we have BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Live from Paris Resort, Las Vegas. Coming from the Freedom Fest, which will kick off tomorrow. And we will have live coverage starting tomorrow. Oh. Our next article, I think I have a video for it too. Pretty sure I do. Here, let me see if this plays. There might be two videos that go with this. Here we go. Oop. unplugged it. Whoops. Oops. Oh, man. Please excuse technical difficulties on my dumbass.
For years, the Washington Post has tarnished gun owners in an effort to take away our Second Amendment freedoms. The fake news outlet even went so far as to make the blatantly false claim that the NRA had illegal ties to Russia. But the Washington Post isn't mad about the lack of guns, it's upset about an abundance of truth. The truth about their role in the organized anarchy of the violent left by spreading lies about those who disagree with their radical agenda while refusing to cover the extremist beliefs and tactics of people like Carmen Perez, DeRay McKesson, and liberal politicians like Chuck Schumer and Al Franken who refuse to condemn them. So they trot out a general assignment reporter, Alex Horton, to call Dom Rosso's video dark. And they tell us we can't have an opinion unless it's about guns. Listen to me, Washington Post. In fact, I'm telling every leftist media propaganda machine defending the violent left to hear what I'm about to say. We talk about more than guns because every freedom is connected. If one is threatened, they all are threatened. And the organized anarchy that you and your politicians and your activists are pushing is destroying our country. It's why the more than 5 million members of the NRA, along with gun owners and freedom-loving Americans, have come together, a clenched fist of truth, to protect our freedoms at home. And we do so because Americans like Alex, the Post reporter who did serve, and Dom have sacrificed so much to defend those freedoms abroad. It's why we will never stop fighting the violent left on the battlefield of truth. So here's a suggestion for the Washington Post. Don't worry about how many guns are in our videos. Worry about how many facts are in your articles. Because if gun owners abused our Second Amendment the way you abused your paper and the First Amendment, our rights would have been taken away long ago. You people do more to damage our country with a keyboard than every NRA member combined has ever done with a firearm. Your paper's new slogan may read "Democracy dies in darkness." It should say, "Journalism dies at the Washington Post."
So the National Association, as you just heard, lashed out at the Washington Post in an online video accusing the paper of championing the efforts to take guns away from law-abiding Americans. In the video message, Grant accused the paper of promoting a radical agenda and spreading lies about those who disagree. He said the Post refuses to cover the extreme beliefs of Carmen Perez and DeRay McKesson and the Democrats who refuse to condemn them. You people do more damage to our country with a keyboard than every NRA member combined has ever done with a firearm. Your paper's new slogan may read "Democracy dies in darkness." It should say "Journalism dies in Washington." The video came in response to a Post article which called out a previous NRA video message as being dark. That video from former Navy SEAL Dom Roscoe was criticized for being politically charged and barely mentioning firearms. Last week, NRA spokesman Dana Loesch spoke out to Tucker Carlson on the backlash she received for her own video calling out the violent left. And this is Dana Loesch's.
They use their media to assassinate real news. They use their schools to teach children that their president is another Hitler. They use their movie stars and singers and comedy shows and award shows to repeat their narrative over and over again. And then they use their ex-president to endorse the resistance, all to make them march, make them protest, make them scream racism and sexism and xenophobia and homophobia, to smash windows, burn cars, shut down interstates and airports, bully and terrorize the law-abiding, until the only option left is for the police to do their jobs and stop the madness. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse for their outrage. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our country and our freedom, is to fight this violence of lies with the clenched fist of truth. I'm the National Rifle Association of America.
And that is what liberal outlets... Damn, what the hell's going on there? That's what the liberal outlets, however, claimed Loesch was threatening violence against anti-Trump resistance. Loesch pushed back against the accusation in a New York Times interview. "I hardly think that condemning violence is inciting violence. I think the ad is very clear. There are excerpts from actual riots that are included in the ad, and that's exactly what I am addressing. She says she's going to fight back with a clenched fist of truth. They have been actually coming at us with violence. But they want to run and hide and say we're accused of threatening violence. Well, there's a big difference between threatening and actually doing. And none of us have been doing violence upon the left, but the left has sure hell been attacking the right. Well, Paul Ryan's approval ratings plummet as Speaker fails to deliver for President Trump. House Speaker Paul Ryan's failure to deliver on President Trump's agenda has sent his approval ratings into a tailspin as nearly a majority of Americans disapprove of his job performance. A whopping 48%, nearly a majority, view Ryan in a negative light, while just 36% view him in a positive light. The poll was conducted from July 8th to 12th and represents a near-mirror flip from Ryan's standing back in December when 47% looked at him positively and 31% viewed him negatively. It would be hard to find a Republican who has suffered more than House Speaker Paul Ryan, as Congress and President Donald Trump have struggled to turn GOP promises into reality. Many more people now view the House Speaker in a negative light rather than a positive one, 48 to 34, according to the Bloomberg National Poll. He's not fit to lead. I think he's another one that has been dragging his feet on agendas to damage Trump. People are tired of this. What else can we say? People are tired of it. They elected a president and want to see him succeed. Now, this one, when I heard this, I about shit myself. I don't know a lot about the movie. I haven't seen it. But I do know it's about World War II. It's a British expeditionary force from Dunkirk in 1941. The movie's called Dunkirk. It's a nail-biting movie. And it's being, according to a review in the USA Today, it's a great movie, but there aren't enough women or people of color in it. Just as the USA Today reviewer praised it, he couldn't resist giving a little rap on the knuckles about its shameful lack of diversity and equality. The trio of timelines can be jarring as you figure out how they all fit. And the fact that there are only a couple women and no lead actors of color may rub some the wrong way. Yes, it's true that Dunkirk's leading roles are indeed dominated by white European males, but one possible reason for this is that Dunkirk was an actual historic event which director Christopher Nolan has gone to considerable trouble to recreate as accurately as possible. Sure, it might have provided a valuable comic relief if Amy Schumer or Rebel Wilson, or perhaps even both, had been cast as, say, two brilliant battlefield surgeons who insist on staying behind with the troops when all their male counterparts had fled. Also, it would have definitely have added a new dimension had James Earl Jones been cast as the salty old naval officer called out of retirement for one last trip across the English Channel, or if Ice-T or Snoop Dogg had been given the role of two aging rappers who parachute from a Dakota to administer weed to the desperate troops. Or if Oprah appeared in a cameo as Queen Mary welcoming the returning troops after their disparaged voyage. But it wouldn't have been historically accurate. And the guy from USA Today, he does know it's history, right? And that's what blows my mind when I was reading through this article. That this person doesn't realize this is history. And during that time, there wasn't a lot of women in combat. There wasn't a lot of coloreds in combat in certain areas. There was, but not a lot. It shows just how good our higher education systems really are that hand out degrees. Maybe just how much a joke a journalistic degree might be. Now, I'm surmising that's what this idiot has. But to make that kind of negative review on this movie is just stupefying. Very stupefying to point out that there's not enough women or coloreds in this movie about a historical event during World War II. How do you even respond to idiocy like that? Except maybe say that the USA Today is the winner of the window-licking, helmet-wearing award of the week. Make sure you clean with vinegar and water, as Windex is not good in your mouth. I just, holy shit. How dumb do you have to be? How dumb? I've never even heard of the Dunkirk raids. I shouldn't say raids. I haven't really heard of that battle. I looked it up briefly. And I understand that, yeah, okay, there's not a lot of coloreds in it, and not a lot of women. Whoopee. Not everything runs around equality. Not every part of our life is equality. Except if you live in a bubble like these liberals do. Remember, coming up next, BZ Berserk Bobcat Saloon. I'm pretty sure he's going to be broadcasting tonight. I'm pretty sure. And with that, that's going to be the show. I will be back tomorrow. And there'll be live broadcasts starting tomorrow, I believe it is, from the Paris Resort in Las Vegas for the Freedom Fest. Listen, everybody, have a great night. You've been listening to the Reaver of Common Sense with its host, Jersey Joe. You can tune in every day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on hppundit.com and shrmedia.com.